Every day, more and more people are selling info online, and 99% of them are just blending into one another. But the top 1% of the info industry found an unfair advantage that helps them get ahead of everyone else in the info industry. And I know this because I personally used that same unfair advantage to help generate my clients an extra $650,000 in sales this year alone. So in this video, I'm breaking down exactly what they're doing and how you can use it too to scale trust, leads, and sales for your info business. Let's get into it. Now here's the problem. The info industry is overcrowded and it's getting worse every day. Everyone knows that the barrier to entry in the info space is zero, and that's causing the trust in the info space to come down to an all-time low. Now, to understand what I'm about to say, you need to put yourself into the shoes of a stranger looking at your social media profile. They probably see your frameworks, your results, and probably your lifestyle if you post it. And I understand why you would think this would separate you from the other people in your space, but to a cold audience, you look the same as everybody else. Your frameworks look the same even though they're probably different. Your results look the same as the guy faking screenshots of results, and your lifestyle definitely looks the same as everybody else's. So to a cold viewer, there's nothing really separating you from the curly head dropshipper who's scamming his fans. And obviously that's an issue. But luckily for you, the top 1% already found a solution to this problem. They realized people don't buy info because it's good. They buy info because they trust you. How can you build trust the same way that the top 1% does? Now, while most of the info industry is battling for attention on Instagram and TikTok, the top 1% is playing a completely different game. Sure, they're still on Instagram and TikTok and they're doing the basics like posting short form, posting stories, and everything in between. But the smartest people in the game understand that's not the highest leverage way to build trust at scale. Instead, they're doing it with one unfair advantage: YouTube. If you look at every top player in the info space, you'll see they have millions of followers across all their platforms. But no matter what they're selling or how big they are, they still take YouTube very seriously. Some examples are Alex Hormozi, TJR, Jordan Welch, Brez Scales, Iman Gadzhi. These are all examples of people using YouTube to its fullest potential. And you're probably thinking that the reason YouTube works for these people is because they have a large following everywhere else, but I can tell you that this works at any scale. I know this for a fact because I helped an agency with their client Sebastian, who had just 300 subscribers at the time, and after just a month of posting on YouTube, he closed $60,000 in sales. But why does this even work so well? Now, YouTube is by far the most powerful platform when it comes to building trust at scale, because instead of quick hits on every other platform, your audience on YouTube binge watches hours of your content before even hitting your landing page. On Instagram, for example, you're lucky if they consume 30 seconds of your content, and obviously just consuming 30 seconds of your content isn't going to help them build any trust with you. As opposed to on YouTube, that same viewer might watch a 12-minute video from you, and then 3 more after, and then by the end of that viewing session, they view you as the expert to their problem, which means they're pretty much pre-selling themselves on you before they even touch your website. Because as they watch these videos, they're slowly building a relationship with you, and they're slowly becoming more and more familiar with your systems and frameworks. And when those two things happen, a viewer starts to build trust with you the way that they wouldn't on any other platform, which in turn helps your business get more sales just by posting long-form content on YouTube. So now I'm going to break down how I turn YouTube from just a content sharing platform to a full-on sales funnel for my clients. But most people go wrong here before they even post their first video because they're stuck in the wrong mindset. They'll boot up their computer, load up their recording software, just freestyle a video, quickly throw together a title and thumbnail, and then they'll wonder why their YouTube doesn't work after just posting 2 videos and they'll just quit. But the thing is, you need to rewire your brain to be posting on YouTube. YouTube isn't built for quick wins, it's built to be a long-term asset. Because unlike every other platform where your videos die out after a day or two, these YouTube videos work pretty much forever. My client Lander is a good example of this because there was a time where he was traveling for a month so he couldn't post for 4 weeks straight, but on that 4th week he still managed to close $25,000 in deals directly from YouTube. Now think about this. If his old videos still work for him that good, imagine what happens when you stay consistent with it and just post week after week after week with a proven system. What would happen is each video would compound one on top of the other, and before you know it, you have more trust, more leads, and more sales than you even know what to do with. So how can you actually start building out a YouTube channel for your business that works this good? So step 1, you need to build a channel blueprint. Doing this helps us know who to speak to, how to present yourself, what to put in your titles and thumbnails, and what to say in the videos. So for this step, I recommend you write down the answers to all the questions I'm about to ask you and use it as a filter for every single decision on your channel. You need to make sure that it aligns with your channel blueprint. Because if you want to build a strong brand with longevity on YouTube, you need to make sure you're staying consistent in this way. So first, you need to identify your ideal customer profile. You need to figure out their pains, desires, fears, and motivators. And you definitely don't want to be lazy on this part. You want to really dig deep into this because these are the people we're going to be targeting and speaking to every single video. And the more that these people feel understand and heard, the more they're going to trust you. So next, you want to identify your competitive edge. This is pretty much what can you say that your competitors can't say? What makes you unique? This is especially important because, like I said before, the barrier to entry is 0, everyone's blending into one another, and there's 500 other people selling the same exact thing as you. So obviously you're going to want to stand out in some way or another. And by digging deep into what makes you different and having it bleed throughout your content, it allows you to become different and memorable in the eyes of a viewer. Now finally, how do you want to be positioned? This is pretty much how do you want people to perceive you. For example, I position myself as the guy who helps business owners grow their business through YouTube. Or another example is BMW. They position themselves as the ultimate driving machine, and in every bit of their marketing, they're letting that bleed through their content. And once you have all this written down somewhere, we can move on to step 2, which is video ideas. Now, aside from your channel blueprint, this should be one of the most thought out parts of your video creation process, because a bad video idea can't be saved by thumbnails, can't be saved by titles. Giving value doesn't help it either, because the reality is, if your video idea sucks, you can't force somebody to be interested in it. Now, what classifies a good idea in the eyes of business educational content is the ideas that target an ICP's pain, desire, fear, or motivator, and make them curious enough to click. And the curiosity that makes the viewer want to click come from wanting to get closer to a desire or wanting to avoid a fear. So technically, you can just make good video ideas by reverse engineering your ICP's psychographics, but I like to dig a little bit deeper. The way I usually do it and the way I found the most success is by reverse engineering what's working on YouTube. So I'll take a look inside and outside my client's niche and I'll identify what's working. So this can look like executing it better when it comes to thumbnails or maybe the script, or I can change the angle on it, like take it from negative to positive. I can add a client's competitive edge to the idea to make it completely different. Or one of my favorite ways is I like to splice 2 winning formats together and make one completely new idea. And then once you have an idea, it's time for step 3, which is packaging your video. And if you don't already know, packaging is just thumbnails and titles. Now 99% of the time, your idea just becomes the title of your video. So if you settle on an idea called $1 million of TikTok shop advice in 24 minutes, then that should also just be your title. There's no reason to overcomplicate it and make it 2 different things. But the bones of what actually makes a good title is something that is as short and concise as possible, something that speaks to your ICP psychographics, and something that leaves just enough information out to make them curious enough to click. Now a thumbnail's pretty similar. Its first job is to get attention from your ICP, especially since it's against hundreds of other thumbnails on your viewer's homepage. And its second job is to make them curious enough to click by tapping into your ICP's psychographics the same way that we did in the title. So for example, this thumbnail is bright and it pops out because of its bright colors. And it's also tapping into its ICP's desire of making money through TikTok Shop. And this one's also a good example. This one has bold, contrasting text that's easy to read, and it also taps into its ICP's fear of missing out. Now, I like to treat thumbnails the same way I treat titles, in the way that I also like to research what's working and what's not working and reverse engineer it. But when you combine all of these steps with step 4, you'll have the entire blueprint that the top 1% is using to get ahead of everybody else. And that final step is funnel structure. Now, every video on a business educational channel should be treated like a funnel. At the top, you have the broad videos capturing new viewers. At the bottom, you're converting those new viewers into customers. So starting at top of funnel, this is where we go as broad as possible. But we're not aiming to go viral here, we're just aiming to get the biggest market of people who might become customers down the line. So this can look like a My Story video where you talk about your struggles and your come up and how your business changed your life. So for example, if you're a day trader selling a course on day trading, you can make a My Story video where you talk about your struggle and how day trading changed your life. And if you targeted your ICP good enough, they're going to click your channel, they're going to move down the middle of funnel where they're going to become familiar with your processes and your systems to be a successful day trader. Now the goal with middle of funnel is simply just to nurture and build trust. We're not trying to get views or anything like that. What you need to do is you need to give away as much value as possible and really make the viewer understand that you're the expert in that field. And I promise you, giving away too much information isn't going to hurt you. It's actually going to do the opposite. It's going to help you, because like I said before, the info industry, there's not really that much trust right now. So when a viewer sees somebody giving away all this info for free, they're naturally going to trust you more than the guy who's gatekeeping all this information. Now once you understand this, we can now move down to bottom of funnel. Now the goal here is to just convert the viewer into a paying customer, nothing else. And the way you do this is by positioning yourself as the solution to their problem. And the best way to possibly do this is to post something like a client interview or a case study to show the results that you got for their client. And that's really it. And now you know exactly how the top 1% of the info industry is using YouTube to get ahead of everybody else. And if you're a business owner who wants to take YouTube seriously, I will build out this entire system for you. Just like I helped this agency with their client Sebastian, who had just 300 subscribers at the time, and after 1 month of posting consistently, he closed $60,000 in sales with a new offer and a new YouTube channel. Now, me and my team will also handle everything for you. We'll handle the editing, the thumbnail design, the posting, channel management, everything in between. So all you need to do is record. So if that sounds good to you, you can click the top link in the description to book a call. Thank you for watching.